All right, Happy Talk Tuesday. We are in this piece. Welcome to the Amateur Expert Podcast. Super excited to have you all with us today. If this is your first time joining, welcome. Today we are going to talk with our guest about his career path, his idea of success, and the tips and motivators that he's used along the way. I firmly believe that when you hear other people's story, it's inspiring, no matter where you are in your journey. So we are ready to get started. If this is your first time joining us, let us know. Let us know where you're from. What's up, everybody? I don't know why I'm so sing-songy. No clue. But Happy Talk Tuesday. Hey, y'all. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
I'm so happy that we have you with us today. Happy Talk
Yes, yes.
Tuesday.
I doubt I've watched many of them, so it's good to finally be on this side.
On the other side, yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
let's jump right in. Tell me this. Tell me who you are and what you're doing currently for work.
Okay. I'm known as Ashay in the capoeira community. Something I've been doing for the last 22 years. Besides that, I grew up training martial arts and acrobatics. I come from a family of martial arts and acrobatics, learning since I was a little kid, and performed in the circus from when I was 4 years old to about 6, and traveled all over. So my life has been filled with just performing and some really interesting things. As you get older, you realize it wasn't conventional.
I love that. Okay, so tell me this. So I know that you were sort of born into what you were doing, but I wonder, so as a capoeira instructor and martial artist, but I wonder if you were like when you were a little boy, like if you dreamed of being something else, or like what was your dream? What did you dream of being? And like why did you dream of being that?
You know, there's an old video that we did for like Fox News, and they asked me what I want to be when I grow up, and I said own a circus. So I think for the most part, martial arts and learning what we learning was a discipline. It was something
Yeah.
that we had to do, and it was scary. There was sometimes
Mm,
you're doing acrobatic movements where you're trusting the balance on someone's head or stacked up 3 high.
right.
So it required a lot of trust, and martial arts was something that was also discipline. So I had to fight and to train with my brothers to improve, but at the same time in acrobatics, I had to trust them that
Hmm.
I wouldn't fall and that they would hold me up and they would be strong enough to keep me up when I was on the top. So those two different things taught me, but it wasn't something that I was like, oh my God. I think once I got older, I realized like, okay, this was actually pretty cool. When I would tell people, they were like, wow, that's super cool. But
Yeah.
as a kid, it wasn't like that at first.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so what did you think success was when you were younger?
You know what? I think once I start to realize performing in front of people and seeing people clap and
Mm,
smile and in amazement into, when I run into people, in our neighborhood and they really like what we did, then I started to understand that what I'm doing has an effect on people because there was a lot of
yeah.
training early in the morning, 5 in the
Oof.
morning. So like, I think success comes when you work really hard and then when you perform in someone in front of a crowd, you're able to execute that technique or movement that you train over and over, waking up early in the morning. And then that one moment of really nailing it and getting on point, that started to click like, okay, that's what it's about. Because it's a small moment of success, but a
Yeah, that makes
large
sense.
moment of training.
That's
So,
dope. Okay, so for those who are watching, sorry, my eye is burning and I don't know, but the show must go on. All right, so here we go. So, for those who are watching and have never heard of capoeira, could you explain that to us? Like, what is it, and how did your family become a part of it?
so capoeira is a African Brazilian martial art. It was created by the enslaved Africans in Brazil, and they disguised it as a dance. It was basically where they was doing all different cultures. They didn't even speak the same language. and they would come back after a hard day of working in the slave fields, doing everything that slaves do, and they would put on music to make themselves feel better, and dance and move around. And a lot of them didn't even speak the same language. They might have been enemies, tribes, and different cultures in their country, and they started to dance these, natural dance for birth and harvest, but never under that much oppression and sadness. And it started to develop into this strong martial art. It's funny because I was listening to Dr. Nita Phillips, and she was saying there's a vagus nerve inside of us that is activated by singing, dancing, moving and swinging side to side. I'm like, that's capoeira, and it helps heal the body because it controls the immunity, digestive system, and your nervous system. So these slaves had innately knew that doing this would give them strength to endure the life of being a slave. And it's something that's practiced all over the world until now.
And I shared with you that back in the day, I used to do capoeira. I only made it to a green belt. So, very, very basic. Very
You said you made it to a green belt?
Yeah, that's the first one, right?
Yeah. In certain schools, their first belt is green. And ours is different belt system. But yeah, it's the first belt. So, nice.
Very rudimentary skills, but I did it and I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Yeah. So I wonder if you can share with us just your sort of trajectory. So you said you've been training since you were 4, and then at one point your family was the first Black family that was performing with Barnum Bailey. So if you could just sort of share that journey with us, and then how you became like where you are today.
Well, I realized that the strongest lesson that I learned from doing martial arts and acrobatics is discipline. Not only discipline, but understanding self-discipline. Because discipline is like my father would wake us up, he would train us, he would discipline us, and we do what he said. Yeah. But self-discipline is where we would do it all by ourselves without being told. So as I got older, performing, we did halftime shows all over, performing at the Grammys. We did a lot of amazing things using those skills. And then when I ran into capoeira in '98, it was like, okay, I did martial arts, I did acrobatics. Now these are all these things together in one. So it's almost like God used those things to prepare me. So then when I encountered capoeira, I had the skills, and I know that I excel a lot faster, but I had the discipline to say, you know what, I was mastering this art form. Now I'm going to start from zero again. And when I went and learned capoeira in Brazil, I didn't go there and say, hey, I'm a master in martial arts and kung fu, and I want to learn this. I'm going to be good. No, I was like, I dance, I'm flexible, that's it. And I just slowly learned it. So it was a humbling experience of just starting new again. But I wasn't starting new, I was starting experience. And then capoeira is what really, the Brazilian community, the element, that whole formative culture, is really brought me to be a leader, a mentor, to really engage. Because kung fu is like militant. Capoeira is like family, community. So I think that's when I really excel as a teacher and as a leader, and also being led by my teacher. And that opened the way for everything, because capoeira is theatrical, capoeira is music, capoeira is dance, capoeira is art, it's community, it's all those things in one.
No, that's dope. Thank you for sharing that. And so how would you define success today?
You know what? I think I kind of alluded to it earlier, where success is really, and the older I get, I realize I have to focus less on the success and more on the process of the training, the consistent discipline to get up every day and train regardless of how I feel, whether if it's music, whether if it's acting, anything. You don't need a platform. You don't need people to watch you to do it. So I think discipline was the constant thing that I realized, that I learned how not to yield to my feelings of like, okay, I need to feel like this performing element, because it's so small. It's maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So I think success for me is doing things that I love the process of doing it when nobody is watching. And then when I do that, then when I get in front, that's when success, that's when it all kind of happens by itself. But we have this saying in capoeira is that we think of capoeira because it's a Brazilian language. We think of it as a woman, kind of like you talk of proverbs of her being a woman. It's a woman. All I can do is prepare myself, stretch myself, limber myself, that when I enter in there, I'm allowed to be used whatever way it needs to be used. And I think that's the key to success is preparing yourself so that when it comes, you can endure the weight and the stretch of it, because success is way harder than defeat. It's way harder than adversity. For every one person that can have success, there's 100 people that can handle adversity. But the actual way to success is it's hard because you have to become somebody new.
That's dope. Thank you. And I wonder if you can share a hardship or a bit of adversity. Well, I can't say the word. Uh, Adversity. There we go. That you faced. That that you thought, that rocked you, and then how you were able to, get back on top.
Well, I think I was raised by a father from the Jim Crow South who moved from the Jim Crow South to Chicago, where he went from dogs biting and fire hose to now going to a black neighborhood where now you got to walk through gang neighborhoods,
right?
And now you're confronted and being open to crime against your own kind,
right?
And he took that and he learned martial arts, he learned acrobatics, he gave us African names, he raised us vegetarians, he had us fast as kids, like all of these little small nuanced things that didn't seem important. That then I found capoeira, and capoeira was created by slaves. It was created by one of the most horrific things of history that is here now. But I think that's been my outlook. But I mean, even 2012 was into 2012. My father died. Then right after that, my son almost drowned in Brazil. Then right after that, I went through a divorce, back to back. There was no break in between. It was like father died, son almost drowned, and then I went through divorce. But God was faithful in that moment, because I remember after my father died, my son almost drowned in Brazil. I was at church. I woke up 5 a.m. and I prayed, had a crazy feeling, went to church. Come to find out, right when my son floated to the top of the water, the top paramedic in the city went in and pulled him out the water. So God didn't just send anybody. He sent the top paramedic in Rio. If he's the top paramedic, he was probably want to stay at home, but God was like, you're going to go swimming today. So he went swimming, pulled my son out, and then I felt God saying, get baptized. So I got baptized after that. And my life got worse. I'm not even going to lie. It got worse.
Oh my goodness.
Even through after I went through my divorce, I lived out my car for like 2 years. At the same time, I had a lot of friends, a lot of community people. Like I was staying at Trevor's house. I was staying over here, house sitting. But in that moment, God grew so close to me in that moment. I didn't feel lonely. I felt connected. I felt super, super, super strong with him in that moment. And then from there, it just built. But I think capoeira was not capoeira, but relationship with God, but just understanding that the best things come out of the most tough situations.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I look at everything now. Because if I had to do it all over again, I would do it easily.
Wow. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your heart with us.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's a testament to my life as well. Things do get bad. And then it's like, all right, God, like, okay. And then they can get worse a little bit.
Yeah.
But then through it all, he's with you. And so I think that is important to just remember to hold close to your heart that through it all, he is with you and he's got your back. Go ahead. You going to say something?
No, I was going to say he's faithful. He is faithful. He don't miss nothing. So, yeah.
That part for real. Okay, so tell me this. What are some tips and or motivators that you can share with the audience that you've used? So you spoke about your relationship with God and discipline. What else can you share with us for things that you've used along your journey?
You know what? I think what I've realized, and I think I realized it later, is that less is better. You know, I think a lot of times when we have goals, when we have dreams, we want to chip off the biggest part right away. And the reality is that it don't work like that. It's baby steps, because it's how you say it, it builds interest. Every time you're taking 1% step towards what you go, you don't realize you're making 1%, but that 1% is being deposited in your faith, and it builds interest. So before you know it, over a year's time, you done got 1% better every day, but that 1% accrues interest in all type of benefits and etc. So when you finally get there, you are prepared for that position, because I know for a fact that if you take fast steps to get where you at, I guarantee you, what you may lose of yourself personally may be more than what that success is going to give you. So, one of my favorite books, Atomic Habits, like he broke it down so precisely to where a lot of things that I was doing, he was doing. Like when I read my Bible or when I journal, like I'm really content about getting stuff out of my head and on paper. So like if I got a problem, I'm gonna write it down. If I got something important, I'm gonna write it down. If I got an idea, I'm gonna write it down. And I'm constantly pushing stuff out of my head. But then sometimes when I feel lost, I can go back and look at those journals, look at the work that I put in, and then I can say, oh my God, I've been putting in the work. All I need is, I don't need 100% of the vote, I just need 50% of the vote. So long story short is that when you want to become who you want to become, all you need is 51%. You can become the president by 51%. You can become the president just by being that little tip over. So smaller the better.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. So earlier you mentioned discipline and self-discipline. And so I just started back on my gym, attendance as of this morning.
She said it
but I wonder if you could speak to how you're able to stick through and stay disciplined, because it's very easy to, like you said, succumb to your flesh or succumb to your own desires. Like, I'm sore, I worked out so hard, I deserve a break. Or like, so how do you personally stay disciplined, and how can you teach us to do the same?
Well, it's funny because in the book of Tommy, he tells a story of this trainer that was training this girl. She lost like 100 pounds. And her job was to go to the gym, stay for 5 minutes, and leave. And what she did is that for like 3-4 weeks every day, she'll get off from her work, whatever it is she's doing, get her stuff together, get to the gym, work out for 5 minutes, and leave. People are like, what are you accomplishing by that? More important is she was accomplishing, instead of focusing on trying to lose the weight or whatever she wanted, she had to become the person that knows how to get their stuff together, get ready, and get to the gym. Don't let the couch pull you. Don't let the TV pull you. Because you look, I'm going to go there. I'm only going to be for 5 minutes. You don't know that you're rewiring your brain to actually commit to an action. And once you commit to that action, then you start to change. So I think less is better. And I'm learning that. Less is better. You don't need a lot. You got enough already, whatever it is. There's only three main colors. There's only 5 taste buds. There's only 3 architectural shapes. But you put that in the right hand, and they go infinity. So I had to teach myself that whatever I got is what I have. And if you only got 10 minutes to work out, walk around the block, whatever it is enough if you stay consistent with it. So when you soar, just allow yourself that if you train a little bit, you're going to get more out of it than not doing anything at all.
I love that. Bite size, bite size, bite
Bite
size.
size, man. The
Less
elephant
is
bite it one bite at a
more.
time.
I love it. Okay, so as y'all know, I am not just the host of the Amateur Expert podcast. I also am the founder of Affirmed Armor, which is a clothing and apparel brand that is I'm making sense. It is enough. Yes, a little bit is
Yeah.
enough. And so with Affirmed Armor, um, we are very big on affirmations and giving yourself what you need. So I wonder if you can share with me one of your go-to affirmations or affirmation that you like to say to yourself or with others.
Man, I read Joe Osteen's book I Am, and I Ams are like they're like protein for the mind. They're like uh, pre-workout for the mind. They're everything for the mind. So, but he has a partner where he says, I'm drawing a blank. He basically says, he has this whole thing that he says is a basic affirmation. My brain is going blank on it right now.
That's
But
okay.
he's basically saying, you know what? I'm going to accomplish all my dreams. The right people in my future, the right opportunity to chase me down. What was meant to harm me is going to be used for my good. I have a good personality. I'm well-liked. I'm good to be around. Like, he has this whole thing that he says, and I live by that.
I love that.
Because you have to beat your mind to it talking, because when you wake up early in the morning, the first thing you have to do is you have to speak to your mind first, because if you don't, your mind is going to speak to you. Your body, I hate this is from a Martial. Your body is not your friend. It will make you eat things. It will make you do drugs. It'll make you do everything against you. So once you understand that you are living in, I know this sounds crazy, you're living in the enemy territory, that it has its own agenda. And if you don't set the agenda of your body, then it is gonna pull what it needs to pull. And I'm preaching this to myself, whether if it's attention, whether if it's my eyes. Like, I have to consistently just pull myself back, because your body wants to do something opposite from you at times.
That's real. That's where my body did not want to go to the gym today, but my mind said we're going.
Come on.
We are going.
Come on.
So I want to thank you for doing the
Definitely.
show with us today. I want to give an opportunity for you to show how we can support you, share how we can support you. If you have any shows or anything, classes coming up, let us know where we can follow you, all the things.
Okay, well, I teach capoeira. Capoeira is like my community. I teach kids, adults. I start all the way from 2 years old, 18 months and up. So you can, if you're on social media, it's Capoeira Brazil with an SLA. I'm Black Panther Cord. I'm a black belt in capoeira. I named kind of all my belts, long story. And then on capoeirabrazil.com. Look out also, we just shot a concept trailer for our story as acrobats in the circus, and that was like surreal.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that was surreal. I was telling, because Trevor played my father, and the little kid that played me, when they was on the set the whole day, Trevor's like, yo, you're my teacher, you're my capoeira teacher, blah, blah, blah. And they're hanging out there eating lunch. They're like in the dressing room, they're playing games, like he's sitting on his lap. And mind you, I was like 4 or 5 years old. I woke up the day after the shoot, and I'm like crying, because it was almost like God showed me my relationship with my dad through my student as it was all going on. And it was like, so that was such a deep experience. And when you look at the show, it's I think it's an amazing concept, because it's really showing a black family who did some amazing things, and to realize how strong your mind is, how strong your kid's mind is. My dad made me believe I can balance on my head, and I didn't even question it.
Yeah.
I juggled upside down. Okay, now you're gonna get on top of somebody else, 3 high, and you're gonna balance on your head. That's how strong my belief is. So that I just believed them and I did it. Yeah. So what I learned from that is that you have to understand that when you have a belief that something you want to do, it's gonna happen. I don't care. It's gonna happen. It's only if you stop. So I'm excited about that. Please stay on the lookout for that. It's actually amazingvitas.com. We got apparel as well, and just yeah, continue to look out and support us. And it's gonna be exciting once it fully happens.
Awesome sauce. Thank you so much for sharing. So I am the amateur expert, and I know a little. Oh, I spelled it wrong. I know a little bit about a lot. So I would love if you could share with me one random fact, a tidbit of information. Now you've dropped a lot of jewels already, so I don't want. I'm not trying to negate everything that you've
Okay.
already said,
Um,
but it's just one something like boom to knock us out.
I think, and this is something that, man, I look back now to realize my dad was like a deep thinker. Fasting. It's the craziest thing, but it is one of the main practices that I think, because I didn't grow up in the church, so I found it on my own and I looked at it differently. If you fast and you pray, I guarantee you it's going to change. It's a fact. It is one of the only ways to truly humble yourself. And I would love to see more of us and more of us of faith use that tool. My dad fasted 480 days without eating. He was a deep person. Now, I've fasted. I do 21 days every year. In the beginning of the year, I fast from generally the 24th all the way to like beginning of the year. And that right there has changed my day. And I fast 1 day a week, every week. And I promise you, that's the way that you're gonna change your life.
I
That's
love
for
that.
sure.
Y'all heard it here first. Fasting. Let's do it. Let's get on it. We can do a corporate fast together. We
Wow.
can figure out how to make it happen. But I believe, I believe, I believe. Again, I
Yeah.
want to thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being on the show.
Anytime.
Thank you for sharing with us. If you or anyone else you know are interested in being on the show, definitely hit us up. The link is in my bio. I know that's corny to say, but it is the truth. I hope you all have a blessed Tuesday, and we will see you next week. Take care, y'all.